Welcome to another edition of Second City Sports. We're live and living color on this Bears Victory Monday right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Along with Miss Lakeena McGee, she'll be joining yours truly in just a moment. I am Sidney Brown, aka Sid the Kid. That is just me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at CK80. Once again, that's CK80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are on all podcast platforms, including that iHeartRadio app. And while you're at it, please give War Media a follow at WAR Media on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Once again, please follow War Media on all social media platforms at WAR Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support. You got to like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends about us here on Second City Sports or in Sports Zone Chicago. If you want to get at us anytime during the portion of today's show, you can hit us up in the comments section. That's at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions and comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. And speaking of Lakeena, she is ready to go here with us on this Bears Victory Monday afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Miss Lakeena. How are you?
Oh, darn technology, I tell you. It wouldn't let me in initially, so sorry for the technical difficulties. But you can follow Lakeena McGee on the Twitter, X, and Lakeena McGee on the IG.
And before we continue, we must remind you can also catch Sports Zone Chicago now available on Roku TV. That's right. So celebrate with the squad. Give the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. If you already have a Roku television, just tap on that sports phone and download that Sports Zone Chicago app. If you don't have a Roku television, you have some handheld devices laying around. You know them by now. Just hit up the Google Play Store and download that Roku TV app and access Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue. So no more excuses. Celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, live and on demand.
Anytime, anywhere.
And you know we will provide.
All right, folks. We will provide. We're gonna, get right to it here on Second City Sports. We've got a busy show coming up. Of course, we're gonna do our Bears Victory Monday. Of course, then we got the rest of the NFL, including studs and does some very interesting results. No doubt. In time permitting, we'll try to squeeze in maybe some college football and MLB. But in the second hour, we're gonna talk about the Bulls and NBA as the season starts tomorrow. Yeah, we're gonna have an all-star panel. Who are they? Well, you just have to stay tuned. At the top of the hour, we'll tell you who they are. But first,
second and 11 at the 29. Bajan steps up, gonna run. Bajan all the way out across the 40. That's a Bears first. Off the play fake, sets up the screen. Foreman with blockers in front. He's got a convoy of Bears, and Foreman upended as he gets into Raider territory. Second and 6 at the 15. Bajan, another check down. He's got Foreman with blockers. Deontay Foreman pushed for goal. Bajan with time, throws it short. Foreman with the catch. Foreman to the end zone for the touchdown. And the first career touchdown pass for Tyson Bajan. Second and 11 at the 29. Bajan steps up, gonna run. Bajan all the way out across the 40. That's a Bears first. Off the play fake, sets up the screen. Foreman with blockers in front. He's got a convoy of Bears, and Foreman upended as he gets into Raider territory. Second and 6 at the 15. Bajan, another check down. He's got Foreman with blockers. Deontay Foreman pushed for goal. Bajan with time, throws it short. Foreman with the catch. Foreman to the end zone for the touchdown. And the first career touchdown pass for Tyson Bajan. On first down, Hoyer under pressure, down he goes. Justin Jones with his first sack of the year. First and goal. Toss, Jacobs in trouble, down he goes. Jack Sanborn all over that play. And the
Lines won't suffice.
Hoyer's long pass of the day is 15 yards, and it's intercepted, picked off by Jalen Johnson. Johnson, untouched for the touchdown. On a game at home.
Well, Jalen Johnson never got out of his back pedal. He was just shadowing Devontae Adams. Wasn't scared of him running by. We talked about those.
1st and 10. O'Connell going deep, and it's intercepted again. Jalen Johnson.
And those highlights are from Fox. That is, of course, the Bears get a victory against the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. Pretty easily, I guess. I don't think anybody saw the score there, but Tyson Bagent actually looked pretty good. We'll play some comments from him in just a little bit, but a 32-12 win for the Bears over the Las Vegas Raiders, I should say. Bagent threw for a TD and threw for 162 yards, but it was actually the Dante Foreman show. He had 2 rushing touchdowns and had and that touchdown catch was from Mr. Foreman. Now, look, I'm already seeing it I avoided sports radio today, Sid, because you know how Bears fans are, of course. Everyone's trying to say, well, Tyson Bagent is now like QB1 and blah, blah, blah. I mean, look, he did what he's supposed to do. Look, he managed the game. He was serviceable. He didn't make any, silly mistakes. I'm a little surprised that the Raiders didn't try to kind of, blitz him a little bit more, but, it is what it is there. But, look, they got the Bears got a nice win. Okay, what to do? I can't really see it as anything more than that.
Yeah, if you listen to our show last Friday, we gave you the game plan on how the Bears, especially their offensive staff, was going to handle Tyson Bagent because he's a rookie quarterback. And like you said yesterday, they played it safe. They used the running game you mentioned with Dante Foreman, 2 rushing touchdowns, including a receiving touchdown. And Tyson Bagent did what he was supposed to do. He managed the game. He did not turn the ball over, and he did an efficient job. On the flip side, the defense actually showed up for the 3rd week in a row, Lakeena. I'm not going to sit here and say this is going to be the 2006 Bears or nor the 85 Bears. I'm not going there just yet. And let's be real here. The Las Vegas Raiders did not have their starting quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, who's also prone to turnovers at certain times in the game. So the Bears benefit from that aspect as well. But the Bears played complimentary football yesterday. We all thought that the Vegas Raiders were going to win yesterday, but that wasn't the case. The Bears stuck to their game plan and they won.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's really nothing flashy. It wasn't, too, big of a thing or okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, I think, okay, yeah, he looked decent. All right, Bagent looked okay. I mean, it really doesn't we can say anymore because I kind of feel like I avoided sports radio, like I said, because you know how Bears fans are. They'd already say, oh, TB. Oh, wait, he's going to be Tom Brady and this and that. I'm like, oh God, like I couldn't deal with that already. But I mean, look, here's Bagent. Look, he wasn't nervous. He was a little bit nervous before the game, and here's some comments from Bagent after the game.
Tyson, I asked you last week. I said, if you're moving forward, if you're a QB1, how confident were you leading this team to victory? You looked me dead in the face and said, I'm very confident. Where did that come from, and what did you do today to do that?
I feel like I've played like a million games at quarterback. I feel like I was able to win the job in high school my sophomore year. And then, I started every game through my senior year of college. So that's 7 years of starting, understanding what the week of preparation looks like, and going through pretty much every concept and run concept that there is. So repetition, mother of all learners, and I've been blessed to have a lot of repetitions in my life. So
how much did
I don't know if you. I was. I couldn't. I don't think you guys heard the comments, but I mean, look. Okay, Bagent looked good. Bagent looked serviceable. He didn't make any mistakes. I mean, look, the defense looked okay. Like I said, Foreman.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Foreman has a couple of these games at least like once a year. He always has like these 2-3 TD games. So like it's not again. He has it once a year, so I'm not gonna, look. He had a decent day yesterday. I think he probably should get the game ball if you wanna go right. Jaquan Brisker had a nice showing, 9 tackles and whatnot. So yeah, look, to the Bears defense credit, they didn't give any big plays and blah blah blah. I mean, they did get to Hoyer like once. They did have 2 interceptions, and they intercepted Aiden O'Connell. But again, for me, I think it's hard to kind of get excited because, like, okay, it's against the Raiders. I mean, look, you just prove that you're not as bad as the Raiders are, or if you want to use that particular term. So I think for me, look, you guys can comment if you're out there. Just comment on the Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook and YouTube pages, but. There's really like nothing else I can say about this. It's just that, oh, okay, y'all beat the Raiders, yay, okay.
A couple silver linings here. One, your red zone offense, which has been atrocious for the last I don't know how many years. Yesterday, the Bears were 3 for 3, and they took advantage of that. Good for them. I'll take your cue. Your cue. Good for you. But the Bears defense, as you mentioned, was Jaquan Brisker and that young stud secondary back there. Even though the defensive unit only produced 1 sack, they did create 3 takeaways yesterday, including that pick 6 to seal it by Jalen Johnson. I'm sure he improved his traits. I'm sure we'll get into that another time. But the silver lining here is that the Bears didn't make any mistakes. They forced the Raiders to play one style of football. Their rushing game with Josh Jacobs was pretty much non-existent yesterday, and they earned the victory. As a Bears fan, I'm excited. But Lakeena, you know as well as I do, you talk about the Bears fans. I'm sure many of them overreacted on our 2 local sports radio stations today. You know what this sets up for? Next Sunday night at Los Angeles against the Chargers. I know we're going to talk about it a little bit more on Friday. You know, those folks at NBC is going to hype up this story a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
Because this will be Tyson Bajan's 2nd career start, first in prime time. So he's going to get that quote-unquote Hollywood treatment, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why they decided, again, depending on if Fields does get the go ahead to come back or not with that thumb injury, but that's we'll see about that. But yeah, I mean, look, I guess that's probably why they didn't flex out of that, because of the fact that, okay, you got the nice story of coming from D2, this and that. But again, I mean, it's just like, good grief. I mean, it's against the Raiders. I mean, they really did. They did. Look, I mean, I would thought that maybe, like I said, I thought the Raiders defense would be a little bit more aggressive with the fact that, with Bajan, but they didn't. I mean, they did, Max Crosby did get his 1 sack, but that was about it. So for me, it was just like, it was more, okay, yeah, the Bears, the game plan, it worked, but I was a little more disappointed with the Raiders game plan. I mean, that's a whole different conversation for another time. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. I can't get excited. I know some people out there will say, well, y'all being here. No, I can't, because like I said, I mean, the Raiders, the defense is not real. Okay, yeah, other than Crosby, a lot of those guys aren't really like most of them. I mean, yeah, and Peters too, but really aren't much to learn about. And look, like I said, the Jacobs running, I would have thought they'd be a little bit more aggressive with the run. That was non-existent. Adams got his plays, but again, look, Brisker did a nice job of kind of taming him. So for me, I just think that, oh, okay, you won. You get your 2nd win of the season. Okay, that's nice.
The one thing I'll say about this before we break for the bottom of the hour, I do not want to hear, or we're not going to hear about the Caleb Williams being drafted to the Chicago Bears. Him and his team, I'm talking about Williams, and he's still the best quarterback in college football, period, despite what happened on Saturday against Utah. Time permitting, we'll talk about that. But I don't have to hear Caleb Williams to the Bears talk. And if there's any other silver lining in all this.
Well, for this week anyway, because if Bajan stays this Sunday coming up against the Chargers, oh boy, oh god, this is okay. Well, anyway, we're gonna take a really quick break. Of course, we're gonna talk the rest of the NFL Week 7 slate. I mean, there was some interesting. Let's say us and our girl Christine Mack didn't do well in our picks this week. Jesus. But yeah, including some upsets and a career milestone win for a coach and a whole lot more still. Lakeena McGee, Sidney Brown, Second City Sports on Sports in Chicago. More NFL coming up right after this.
No, I don't know though. I'm scared. I mean, you're so
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago on this Bears Victory Monday. I'm Sid the Kid, which is me, Lakeena McGee, which is she. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow Lakeena McGee on the Twitter, X, Lakeena again, the IG.
You have any comments regarding the Bears' victory over the Las Vegas Raiders yesterday on the Lakefront 30-12, as we'll also continue to go around the NFL action from yesterday. You can hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago YouTube. Type in those questions, comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you.
All right, so let's get to it. We should be able to get through these games pretty quick because there weren't that many yesterday. We'll start in Indy, where shout out to our buddy Spiro Theus who had the call of this game yesterday. Did a great job as always. He and Adam Marcelletta. But Cleveland, look out for them. 39-38 win over Indy. So there were some questionable calls. We'll get to that in a second. We'll probably do that in our Starts and Duds. Deshaun Watson was out with a concussion, I believe. I think it also maybe his shoulder as well. So PJ Walker came in 130 yards and an interception, but it was really the defense that kind of was the thing there for the Browns that kept them in it. They sacked Gardner Minshew 4 times. Myles Garrett got a couple of interceptions, including one that actually helped set up that game-winning drive for the Browns. And so for me, and the Dizer Ward had an interception as well, and of course I think it was Garrett. I think we'll get to Garrett's stats in a second. But what do you think about this performance yesterday?
One of the few entertaining games of the early slate. It was offense going back and forth. You talk about the Browns defense. They didn't have the greatest days statistically, but they made the impact plays when they needed it most. You mentioned Myles Garrett had a couple of sacks, including a strip and a fumble, and he blocked the field goal, which turned out to be a huge play, which affected their last drive for Cleveland going in for that winning score. Shout out to Kareem Hunt for that. But Gardner Minshew, like you said, outside that interception, did well, 305 yards passing. Jonathan Taylor had his best day statistically of the year as he's trying to make his way back. 18 carries for 75 yards for the Colts. And, of course, Mr. Josh Downs for the Colts had 5 catches for 125 yards in an early score. The Colts had their chances to win this one, but we'll get to it later. There's a couple of bad calls there that I thought that went against the Colts. But shout out to the Browns. They earned that victory on the road.
Yeah, Garrett is the first player since at least 2000. Of course, no one really held the stats there. He had 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and a block kick. As you mentioned. So, look, he's definitely making a case for defensive player of the year. We're still a ways to go, but he's definitely going to one of the leaders in the clubhouse for that award. So we'll see what happens here. Now, probably one of the bigger surprises of the day was over in Foxborough, where the Patriots came. It was back and forth between them and the Bills for most of the second half, of course. But they were able to come back and win that game against Buffalo 29-25. Mac Jones threw for 272 yards and 2 TDs, including the game winner. On the flip side for Josh Allen, 265 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception, a really bad interception early on. We'll get to that in a second. But Bill Belichick gets his 300th career win. But we'll get to Buffalo. I'll get to that angle in maybe when we get our studs and does. But get the Patriots credit for getting their second win of the season, I guess.
Yes, that Patriots defense, especially in that first half, was very active. They gave some coverages to Josh Allen, which he couldn't figure out, as you mentioned, as they forced their early interception. But it was the Patriots offense, as you mentioned. Mac Jones played well in that second half. But for Buffalo, James Cook only 56 yards rushing. That's not going to get it done for Buffalo. They need to run the ball with more consistency, and that's something that they struggled with over the last few years. Stephon Diggs, he did have that one sliding catch, which turned into a touchdown in that third quarter. But Dalton Kincaid, their second-string tight end, had 8 catches for 75 yards. The Bills refused to spread the ball around, and that's what's going to cost them at the end here. The Patriots took advantage of it, especially at the end, and they won the game on the last drive.
Yeah, Mike Gesicki got his first TD of the season so far. He was, doing the giddy. So nice win for the Patriots. So yeah, that was it's a dance in of itself. Check it out. When he was with Miami too, he did that a lot. Now let's go to the NFC East. The Giants. The Giants got a little bit of an upset win here. They beat Washington 14-7. Tyrod Taylor, proven to you why he's one of the top, veteran QBs. threw for 279 yards, 2 TDs. And Saquon Barkley, who there were rumors that he might get traded, within the next few weeks. We'll see. He rushed for 77 yards. Sam Howell, 249 yards, 1 interception. They didn't really do the running game too much. Howell was sacked 6 times. Taylor was sacked 4 times, so it was definitely a battle of the defenses, and it was actually the Giants actually ended up making the big offensive plays late.
Yeah, the Commanders' offense was trash in that first half. They actually came out in that third quarter, as you mentioned. They scored the lone touchdown of the game, almost outgained the New York Giants by 100 yards of offense in that second half. But the defense you mentioned for the Giants stepped up late, in the Commanders, they had their chances to perhaps force overtime, but a couple of bad plays by Sam Howell at the goal line, which turned them away, and the Giants come away with a second victory of the year.
It was a lot of fumbles, a lot of sacks. So this was 1980s football at its NFC at its finest here. On the flip side, though, of course, Baltimore, with their best offensive showing of the season, they just hammered the Detroit Lions 38-6. I actually had this game, I was really excited. You saw how excited I was on Friday, Sid, with our girl Christine. But Lamar Jackson said, no, not so fast. He threw for 357 yards and 3 TDs. He also had a rushing TD. Gus Edwards had a rushing TD. On the flip side, the Lions just couldn't get it going. 284 yards for Jared Goff, but he was sacked 5 times. So this is a complete, I guess, a total team win, which if you're the Ravens, the way they've been struggling the few weeks prior, even before that London game against Jacksonville, this is definitely something that they really needed, this kind of performance.
Yeah, the Baltimore Ravens had it going on yesterday from all 3 aspects of the game: offense, defense, and special teams. On the flip side for Detroit, a lack of pass rush. You saw Lamar Jackson, I believe, on that touchdown pass. I forgot who he threw it to early in the game, but he had 9 seconds to find his receiver. You definitely cannot do that in the NFL, especially in the red zone. So Lamar Jackson played a heck of a game yesterday. I'm like you. I was very excited for this game. I turned it off midway through the second quarter because Detroit had no heart. And as I told you on Friday, the absence of David Montgomery for Detroit would come back to bite them, and it did. I know Jahmyr Gibbs, the rookie running back, had 68 yards rushing and a touchdown, but the Lions defense did not show up yesterday. The offense didn't either. So hopefully the Lions can move on and learn from this loss quickly as they'll host the Las Vegas Raiders at home next Monday night.
Yeah, Kyle Van Noy had 2 sacks for Baltimore, and I think it was at that first TD pass that Lamar threw to Mark Andrews, part what you're talking about. He could have made like a pizza or something, as much time as he had. So just terrible showing there. Now going to the work out the Atlanta Falcons, Sid, 16-13 and a win over rival Tampa. Desmond Ritter threw for 250 yards. Tyler Gear had rushed for 59 yards. Baker Mayfield threw for 275 yards in a TD, but through an interception. He was actually also sacked 3 times. This was kind of like one of those games where it really didn't get. It kind of had trouble getting going, but it was actually still exciting. It didn't really know what was going to happen, but credit the Falcons defense for making the big plays when they needed to.
Yeah, you mentioned Baker Mayfield. This is the 4th straight game in which he has thrown an interception, which is not good. On the flip side for the Atlanta Falcons, you mentioned the running game got going late, especially in that second half. I know on Tampa Bay side, Mike Evans, no, not the actor from Good Times. He had 6 catches for 82 yards and a lone score for the Buccaneers. But Tampa Bay's rushing attack with Rashad White, he did better catching the ball coming out of the backfield. But once again, Tampa Bay's lack of running game cost them at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So gonna get very interesting. So I mean, look, some people said the Falcons could be a sleeper in there for a playoff spot. So at least so far they're proving just that they're 4-3 now. Now going into these late games, so you see, I told you guys we were gonna get through this pretty quick. Mm-hmm. It was the Pittsburgh Steelers came back, scored 14 points to the fourth quarter to beat the Rams 24-17. Kenny Pickett threw for 230 yards. Najee Harris had a rushing TD. Jaylen Warren had a rushing TD. On the flip side, though, for Matt Stafford, 231 yards. Passing and it's a touchdown and an interception. So it was really, but give the Steelers, I guess, the defense, it was really like the credit for them because they were the ones that they kept the Steelers in it, and they were able to make the big plays that kind of help seal the win for the Steelers.
Yeah, you mentioned that Steelers defense came up big when they had to, but I want to focus in on just about the last offensive play of the game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was a 4th down and 1 conversion. I didn't think they got the first down. I know they measured it and the refs gave Pittsburgh the first down before the 2-minute warning. But if you're Sean McVay, you should have challenged it. But wait a minute, you had no timeouts left.
Yeah, no timeouts left. Yep, nope. So I remember the play you're talking about in question, and he didn't have any. They had to use them because they were having trouble being set up on offense. I think there was an injury timeout as well, so that's why by the time that play did happen, they didn't have any timeouts left. So there was really nothing he could have done. But yeah. But look, give the Steelers credit; they were able to pull out the win all the way in Los Angeles, and now they're right near there in striking distance. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, Seattle, kind of no trouble with Arizona, 20-10. Geno Smith threw for 219 yards and 2 TDs. Kenneth Walker III had 105 rushing yards. On the flip side, Josh Dobbs had 146 passing yards. But again, to see how they really had to do too much. It wasn't really their best showing, but they just enough to win the game. And we know Arizona's taking, so they were able to pull it out.
Yeah, you mentioned Arizona is 1-6 on the season, all 4 away from home. You mentioned Seattle's defense. It was the story for the day, especially in that second half. So they shut out the Arizona Cardinals out of the end zone. Kenneth Walker III, you mentioned 105 yards rushing overall. But like you said, Seattle, they left the Cincinnati last week with a bad taste in their mouth. It was great for them to get back home and get a tough win in front of their home fans. They're 2-1 at home on the year, 4-2 overall. So they still are trying to challenge San Francisco for the NFC West lead.
Yes, and they're still right there. So, and they play within the next couple of weeks. So that'll be an interesting matchup there when that happens. Staying out west this time, the Mile High City. Denver held off Green Bay 19-17. Russell Wilson.
Yes.
Oh, Lord. 194 yards for Russell Wilson and a TD. Jordan Love had 2 TDs for 180 yards, but a bad interception late that should have, that would have set him up, the Packers up for a game-winning field goal potentially, but he threw an interception, so that was that. So Sid, I actually had this game like in the background as I was like, getting ready to eat, and Jordan Love actually didn't play too badly right up until that last play, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Packers offense was MIA in the first half. They scored all 17 of their points in the second half. I told you on Friday, Lakeena, that Denver was going to win. The offense for the Broncos wasn't a problem. It was their defense, but the defense for the Broncos came through when it had to, especially picking up Jordan Love late. Russell Wilson, he didn't have to do too much, 194 yards passing, no turnovers and a touchdown. Also, too, Javonte Williams ran the ball hard for the Orange game, 15 times for 82 yards, whereas Courtland Sutton had 6 catches for 76 yards in a touchdown. So Denver improves their record to 2-5. The Packers dropped to 2-4. Lakeena, I know many people had the Packers as being that surprise team this year in the NFL, but Jordan Love is still trying to get his feet wet as being the first year as a full-time starter, and showed again yesterday. I know many people had to win this game, but I told you Denver was going to win, and they were going to expose Mr. Love for what he was or what he was not, and you saw that yesterday.
Yeah, and if you saw what happened with that, and I kind of feel like there was like so much going on here. So yeah, I mean I kind of felt bad for Jordan a little bit, especially when PJ Locke had that caught that interception, kind of sealed the win for the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
I know Bears fans want to make fun of him now, like, oh well, now you know what, now you got an ordinary guy and blah blah. Okay, look, guys. Let's wait till the end of the season before y'all start making those type of proclamations. Okay, we have our own QB problems right now, so slow it down there. But a nice win for Denver and a much needed win for Denver too. So we'll see if they can kind of get things going here. Now, staying in the AFC West, battle these two teams in the AFC West. 31-17, the Chiefs over the Chargers, the Bears' next opponent. Patrick Mahomes, 4 TDs. There were 4 TDs and 424 yards. He did it in the first half, by the way. Justin Herbert threw for 259 yards, a TD, but 2 interceptions. Isaiah Pacheco had 32 rushing yards. Travis Kelce, 179 receiving yards, and a TD with Taylor Swift in the stands. Sid, what do you think? I mean, I had this game in the background. It was back and forth for a little bit, but KC was able to make the bigger plays late. I know they lost a couple of guys. I know that Nick Boyden got hurt, and a couple other guys got hurt as well. Now, I didn't like Brandon Staley's comments afterwards. It's one of those things where it's going to include you being let go because the Chargers have not been very good this year. So I'm like, oh God, I can't. What do you think, Sid?
Yeah, the Chargers defense actually didn't play that badly. I watched the majority of this game via this computer screen, and they shut out the Kansas City Chiefs in that third quarter. But the fourth quarter, as you mentioned, Kansas City had the plays made the plays offensively when they had to. That's what championship caliber teams do. Now, on the flip side for the Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert didn't play that bad. I think that one turnover they had at the end of the third quarter where ricocheted off a defender and Kansas City turned them away. That's what turned the game around in the favor of the Kansas City Chiefs. If the Chargers would have scored that touchdown, it would have gave them. It would have tied the game, and it would have been up against grabs. So who knows what would have happened by them? But the Chargers, they can't blame this on no one but themselves. They keep stepping in their own way. As the great Bill Parcells once said, "The records, you are what your record says you are." So the Chargers are 2-4 on the year, and the Chiefs are 6-1 for a reason.
Yeah, and also too, both Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack only had 1 tackle each. That's not good. So you know what that means on Sunday against the Bears, especially with Khalil Mack, facing his old team.
Pad those stats.
Oh yeah. So we'll get to that on Friday, but let's do the same that game real quick. Some say this could be a potential Super Bowl winning Super Bowl matchup, potentially in Vegas coming up in February. We'll have to wait and see. Got a little ways to go for that, but in this matchup, 31-17, Philadelphia over Miami. Jalen Hurts threw for 2 TDs and an interception for 279 yards. DeAndre Swift had 62 rushing yards. Hurts also had a rushing TD. AJ Brown, I should say, had 137 receiving yards and a TD. On the flip side, Tyreek Hill, I know how many points he got for his fantasy team, but had 88 yards and a TD. Raheem Mostert only 45 rushing yards. The rushing wasn't really a factor for Miami other than Mostert. But like I said, it was really kind of like the defense is. They made the plays late. The Eagles defense sacked Tua 3 times. I know Hurts was also sacked 3 times, but he was able to kind of get out of that. But what happened to the Dolphins last night?
That defense couldn't wrap up Jalen Hurts when they had to. They couldn't produce that turnover, that crucial turnover when needed outside that pick 6 early in that third quarter to help them get back in the game. But I wasn't really impressed by Philadelphia's offense either. I know DeAndre Swift had 62 yards rushing off of 15 carries, but outside of that, Philadelphia's offense still isn't connected for some reason. I know A.J. Brown, as you mentioned, had a big game last night, but I still felt like the glass was half empty with that Philadelphia Eagles offense. The Dolphins, you get them out of the element of South Florida. They look like a totally different team. You saw that early in the year at Buffalo, and you saw it again last night. They can put up points as best as anyone, but when you come up against better teams, you crawl up like a dust ball, and that's not good if you're Josh McDaniels and the Miami coaching staff.
Yeah, that's not good, especially when you're up against one of the top teams in the league. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. As listen, I can see Sports on Sports on Chicago, Lakeena, McGee, Sidney Brown with you. Say real quick your studs and duds.
My first stud is Dante Foreman for the Chicago Bears, 16 carries, 89 yards, and 2 scores as the Bears beat the Raiders 30-12. My second stud will be Mac Jones of the New England Patriots, 272 yards and 2 touchdown passes as the Patriots upset the Bills 29-25. And my third stud will be Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens, 357 yards passing, including 4 touchdowns total, 3 passing, as the Ravens beat the Detroit Lions 38-6.
Yeah, my studs real quick. I'm going to go back to Thursday. Jacksonville, they did really good against New Orleans, and I think that this could be, we're finally seeing the Jacksonville team that we all thought we were going to see earlier this season. So, they got the run game going with ATN, of course, Lawrence, doing his thing, and their defense actually okay the last couple of weeks. So, those are my stud. That's my stud. Another stud, I'll say Atlanta. I'll give Atlanta some credit. I mean, they're not very flashy. Ritter's not putting up the big numbers, but they're doing just enough to win some of these games. They did it against Houston. They did it against one of their NFC South rivals in Tampa. They're now leading the division right now, so we'll see if they can keep it up. And my other stud, I'll say Philadelphia. Yeah, they're not exactly the team that we saw last year. Not the most dominant team, but they're doing just enough to win these games, little by little. And this is sort of like what you want, grinded out sort of win. So at least so far, we'll see if they can keep it up. But so far, the Eagles have looked really, really good.
All right, so my 3 duds are as follows. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense, i.e. Baker Mayfield, 4 straight games with a turnover. That's not good. My second dud is Sean McVay of the Los Angeles Rams. No timeouts to challenge that 4th down call. That's not good. And my third dud is the referees from the Indianapolis-Cleveland game yesterday. P.J. Walker did fumble the ball yesterday, i.e. the Tom Brady tuck rule. I think it was DeForest Buckner that picked it up for the Indianapolis Colts after the booth review, which comes from the people upstairs after the 2-minute warning. They ruled that it was an incomplete pass. But also, too, it was a pass interference call on the Indianapolis Colts, which I didn't get either. So Cleveland got lucky, and they walked away with the victory yesterday. But those were bad calls that went against the Colts yesterday.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, those were kind of like, we got a chance to see like the rest of that game here in Chicago. Yeah, it was actually pretty bad. And Baker, that poor kid. I mean, he had Darrell Bickle Jr. I mean, I think he's a rookie, and that poor guy, had a couple bad calls go against him and ended up costing the Colts. So But what can you say? My dud is Washington. Like, what happened? Sam Howell got sacked 6 times. Your offense, you couldn't get a goal. You look just as bad as you did against the Bears. Like, and of course, Matthew Johnson. Of course, he wasn't very happy again. And another dud. I'll say the Chargers, just because you look. It just what the hell's going on? What the hell's going on? I think hey, Brandon Staley, are you gonna, especially if you lose to, God forbid, you lose to the Bears on Sunday? Will you need a pink slip in your leg board? Are you gonna be needing that? And also too, I guess my bonus dud is the Bills, because they look, as someone said on Twitter, I can't take full credit, but someone said on Twitter yesterday, they look ordinary on all sides of the ball, especially with coaching. So.
All right, tonight is Monday Night Football. You can see this game on ESPN, ABC, and ESPN2 with the Manning cast at 7:15 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's the San Francisco 49ers who check in at 5-1. They'll visit the 2-4 Minnesota Vikings at US Bank Stadium. The 49ers are 7-point favorites. Christian McCaffrey, the 49ers running back, is questionable. Deebo Samuel, the wide receiver for the 49ers, is out.
All right, so that's going to be interesting there. We'll see what happens with that. Now, real quick, what caught your eye at college football this weekend, real fast?
As we talked about on Friday, Utah and USC do battle again. This was a rematch from last year's title, Pac-12 title game. Caleb Williams, he looked okay, but in the last quarter, that was not good. And Utah walked away with a game-winning field goal. And also, too, Ohio State. I know many people don't want to say this, but they could be a contender for a national championship berth. And also, too, look out for Florida State. No one's talking about them either.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you as far as USC is concerned. I mean, they got a new athletic director, Robin Scholerfield, I should say. She has a business background, so I'm wondering, Jennifer Cohen, I should say, and should USC lose out? Could Lincoln Riley be fired? We'll see about that. And of course, a great game by Ohio State. Enough with the marvelous Maserati Marv. So please don't call him that. I'm sure he doesn't like that. So no, don't do that. And real quick before we go to break, the LCS. We're gonna go to a game 7 in the ALCS, and will the Phillies clinch it tonight?
Phillies will win tonight, and I'm going with the Texas Rangers.
All right. Yeah. I'm gonna go with Houston. And I think Phillies do also clinch it tonight. So we'll see what happens with that. You can catch those games coming up tonight, Monday, on both the AL and LCS. So we're going to take a really quick break. Of course, we're going to step aside, stretch a little bit, because we got a great hour and a fun hour coming up for the NBA season coming up starting tomorrow. Of course, we got a great panel of guys, kind of talking some ball. So we're gonna have to, you have to stay tuned, and we'll find out who they are. So talk to some NBA coming up next. Lakeena, McGee, Sidney Brown, Second E Sports on Sports Chicago. A great hour coming up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me something.
I finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second C Sports on Sports Show Chicago. I'm Lakeena McGee. You can follow me at Lakeena McGee on the Twitter, X at Lakeena on the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sidney Brown, on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. Make sure right now, since this is our Chicago Bulls NBA 2023-2024 preview power hour, you have any questions or comments for us and for our panel that we'll introduce to you coming up, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get up on the screen for you. And just a daily reminder, you also catch Sports Zone Chicago is now live and in living color, available on Roku TV.
Okay, Sid. So I think most of our panelists with us. Would you introduce them, please? Oh, now we all.
Yes. First up is our guy from War Media, and he's also one of the two beat reporters covering the Chicago Bulls for It's the Bigs Media. Please welcome in our guy, your guy, Mr. Joshua M. Hicks. Josh, welcome back to the show, my man.
What's up, everybody? Lakeena, Sid, long time no see. Glad to be back on the show and get this thing rolling.
Absolutely. All right, Sid, who's next?
Next up, he also covers all Chicago sports for It's the Bigs Media. We haven't had him on here in a while, Lakeena, so I reached out to him last week. I said, we love talking hoops and everything with you. Let's introduce him. He's Mr. Terrence Tomlin from It's the Bigs. Terrence, welcome back to the show.
What's going on, Sid and Lakeena? I'm so happy to be back, man.
Yeah, it's nice to see.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's nice to see you back. And last but definitely not least, hopefully he doesn't hate me for saying this, he is the president of Bulls Nation. He is one half of the co-host of the CSGO Chicago Bulls podcast. You can catch right here on YouTube. You can catch that podcast wherever podcasts are available. He's our good friend. We haven't had him on in a while either. It's nice to see him back. I know this is his favorite time of the year. He is our good buddy, Mr. Matt Peck. Matt, welcome back.
What's up, guys? Sid,
yes, long time no see.
You. Josh, Terrence, what's going on, yo?
What's good, man?
Guys, what up, Josh?
What's up, boss? How you doing?
Feeling good, man. Happy to be talking Bulls with some of my favorite Bulls reporters.
Well, we retry, and Sid, we got a lot to get to in this next for like 50-something minutes, so let's get right to it.
Yes, the Chicago Bulls ended last season on a disappointing note, losing to the eventual Eastern Conference champion Miami Heat in the play-in tournament. This year, they added two new free agents in Torrey Craig and Javon Carter. This year, how will the Bulls improve? Will they improve, or should the season turn south? Will a fire sale happen at 1901 West Madison Street? And we'll go abroad in our last half hour with the NBA. who's going to be the NBA world champion? Will the Denver Nuggets repeat as champions? Will LeBron James have his last hurrah? What will Steph Curry and the Warriors do? And we'll predict some awards, Coach of the Year, MVP. I am not picking Paul George, just to say that right now. So if you remember our previous show from last year. So, and plus some other fun news and nuggets as well. So Lakeena, I would hand you the baton and you can kick off this preview program.
All right. So Terrence, I'll start with you since we haven't had you on forever. What do you think is the Bulls' ceiling this year?
I can't forget. Well, I can't remember who said this, but is the ceiling the floor for the Bulls this year? And maybe I'm joking a little bit, man, but I'm really kind of scratching my head on what the ceiling is for the Bulls this year. I know that this is a team that's fresh off of a play-in appearance, and they didn't do much over the summer to improve. So I'm kind of not. I don't really have a bunch of huge expectations, and maybe the ceiling is another play-in appearance. If that's the case, then hey.
Josh?
Oh man, the Bulls are at this point maybe slightly better than what they were last year. And you can argue that that's, the best we could have from them, just because of the fact that not only did the Bulls make small improvements to bolster what they call the continuity process, but other teams around the league made major moves to boost their process of going to making deep runs in the playoffs, especially in the Eastern Conference. We talk about the Milwaukee Bucks, talk about the Boston Celtics, talk about even the Cleveland Cavaliers getting the shooting that they got this offseason. The Knicks continue to boost their bench and their star play. So there's a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference that made major moves to a point where even if the Bulls made significant moves, they can't keep up. And because of that, you can only expect at this point the Bulls to be another mediocre season where you're going to have a fight for a play-in spot, or my ceiling per se. I'm not going to say it's completely the floor like T says, but what I will say is I think the highest they can go, if everything goes smooth, which is a lot of factors for this team, I could see them potentially being a 6th seed in the Eastern Conference that can get them outside of the play-in tournament. But there's a lot of factors that are going to have to kick in and go the Bulls' way in order for that to take place.
Matt?
Yeah, sadly, I pretty much agree with everything Josh and Terrence just said. I think that the ceiling for this team, if everything goes right for them and some things go wrong for other teams in the East that are going to be in that middle of the pack fight, being back to a 6th seed, I think, is the ceiling. I think we've seen for 2 years now, especially since the absence of Lonzo, what this team is capable of, and the most they're capable of is being a middle of the pack team, and then always improving Eastern Conference. So like 46 wins, which is where they finished 2 seasons ago, I think is about the most I would go without being absolutely shocked. I see them more along the lines of being a 40 or 41 win team again this year. As Josh pointed out, a lot of those other teams in the East made bold moves this offseason. Younger up-and-coming teams, are also going to be more challenging. When you look around, you don't see those automatic win kind of games when you're going through the schedule and like, that's a W, that's a W. For this Bulls team, there really aren't any automatic Ws. So, maybe they win a handful more of those really close games. We know that their clutch game record last season was so bad, and that's one of the reasons they fell from 46 wins to 40. But I see a first-round exit as the absolute ceiling of this team.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with you guys here. I mean, if they get to a 5 or a 6, I mean, that would probably be like the penthouse or something, because I think those close games and the fact that the lack of threes from last year. I mean, I kind of feel like if those things could go the other way, I think the Bulls could definitely perhaps maybe surprise some people. I'm not going to sit there and say that they're going to be like Milwaukee or Philly or Boston. I'm not saying that at all. But if they can start within, have a good start early and then probably have to stay there and get to that 45, 46 range. I think for me, if it gets to that 5 or 6, avoid the play-in. That's what I want. Avoid the play-in and they'll be fine. And then maybe when they hit the main part of the playoffs, we'll see what happens. Anything can happen after that. Look what we saw last year.
Yeah, I agree with you, most of you guys in the panel. I think the floor is staying out of 7 and perhaps win a playoff round or two. Like Josh said, everything is going to have to pretty much fall in their favor. But after Philadelphia, Boston, and Milwaukee, the rest of the East is up for grabs. If the Bulls can stay pretty much injury free, they should be in that 5th, 6th slot.
All right, staying with the Bulls for a second now. Kobe White looks like he's going to be the start in that that guard spot with Zach, in that backcourt. So, Josh, I'll start with you. I mean, what kind of contributions could he be in, perhaps, or are they going to do kind of like a back and forth thing with Caruso perhaps maybe starting some games and Kobe starting other games? What do you think?
I think when you talk about the front office and Billy Donovan's philosophy, which they want to implement this year of defense turning into offense. That means you not only have to play strong defense, but you have to have a fast-paced offense that allows you to play the transition game. Kobe White, out of all those guards, is your best option for that. He's younger. He has quicker legs. He's a shooter. He can score better than the other guards. So therefore, when you talk about that component, it makes the most sense. However, and not to mention, Kobe White has improved in this game. He's definitely showed signs of growth. The game has slowed down a lot for him. He still has a little bit of things he needs to work on, but I like the fact that he's being able to just kind of be kind of free offensively, and the fact that he isn't turning over the ball as much either. I do like, and his defense has improved. But can the Bulls be consistent? That's the biggest thing that's going to be the question mark. Can they stick to this philosophy? And can Kobe White be the point guard to rein the team in when things go south? We saw how that looks like these past couple of seasons with Alonzo Ball. It's chaos. You cannot expect that to take place. So because of that, I'm looking more at Kobe White as far as, can he slow down the team when things go wrong and keep the team in check and in line from that position versus what he actually brings to the table? Because what he brings to the table is obviously a plus, but can he fill in the holes where the point guard role is really necessary to fill in? That remains to be seen.
Matt?
I think we saw in preseason, after their week of training camp in Nashville, that Kobe White earned the starting point guard job. I think when we signed Javon Carter, a journeyman vet who has not really had a big starting job at any point in his career, we were wondering, is he the guy now that we know that Lonzo's for sure not playing at all this season? Or once they brought Kobe back on a 3-year deal, Billy said it's going to be an open competition in camp for that starting point guard job. By all evidence, Kobe won that competition. And I have no issue with that. I think we see a different Kobe White, a much improved Kobe White from the one that was first handed the keys as a starting point guard his second season with the Bulls. That 1920 COVID-shortened season that went terrible in a million different ways. I don't like to talk about those lost years, with the bald-headed menace, as my buddy Dave would call him. But, I mean, over the last season and a half or so, you've seen Kobe make some of those improvements Josh was talking about. His ball handling is so much better and tighter. His court vision has improved. His decision-making with his ball handling and court vision has gotten better. He's finishing at the rim stronger at a higher percentage. And then you also, of course, see all the improvements he's made on the defensive end. The thing that I'm really curious to see is not necessarily who this team's starting point guard is, because I think unless something drastic changes, we know that's Kobe. It's who Billy Donovan decides to close games with, especially close games, because we know he likes throwing 3-guard lineups out there. We know that we have Caruso, the clamp-down defender, and now we also have another tenacious perimeter defender in Javon Carter. So what combination of those guys are going to be out on the floor late in close games? That's what I'm very curious to find out.
Terrence?
I agree with both of you guys. Josh, what you said about some of the things we need to see from Kobe still remaining to be seen. Has he earned and won the point guard position on this team? I think so. Is Kobe best used as a point guard? I don't know. I still think Kobe may be better used as a scoring guy off the bench, somebody that's allowed to come in and heat it up. I think in a perfect situation, that would be his role. And again, like Matt said, when it comes to closing the game, will Kobe be out there? Will there be some other combination of Javon Carter, Alex Caruso, and Zach LaVine or something like that? I don't want to sound like I don't like Kobe because, again, I do think he's improved. But I don't think that, whether he's starting or not would be the difference in this team staying at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. You guys have made me break out my Google and just take a look at the Eastern Conference, and I see the Bulls, regardless of who's starting at point guard right now, sitting at the bottom pack, the bottom pack of that Eastern Conference. So, Kobe, I hope that you have improved, and you definitely did last year. I hope that you continue to improve. It's going to be tough to crack that lineup at the end of games again, like you said, Matt.
Sid?
I think outside what Josh said about the turnovers, limiting the turnovers with Kobe White starting at point guard, he's not going to be the problem for that Bulls offense. The thing that concerns me about this Bulls team offensively is moving the ball around and hitting the open man, getting everybody involved. We know that Zach at times, especially DeMar DeRozan at times, they like to play one-on-one basketball. Getting Nikolai Vucevic involved in the offense. We saw them do that around this time last year, but as the season went on, they didn't do that. And so I don't think Kobe White starting the point guard is going to be the problem. The problem is trying to get everybody involved in the offense, especially with the amount of three-point shots this Bulls team said they want to take this year with the addition of Javon Carter. So I'm looking for them to involve Nikolai Vucevic in the offense, especially when he has to match up in the post, and how many threes they're going to take per game.
So you know that 3-point thing, and then the Kobe White thing. I think he may have to kind of be sort of like that floor guard, especially whenever Zach's not out there. To me, I think that's going to be the number one question. Can he kind of lead the charge and be that floor general when Zach and DeMar are not out there? So that's another thing that's real for White to worry about. Now, let's talk about Patrick Williams for a second. He's played all 82 games last year, was pretty solid. I think Torrey Craig could definitely push him. Perhaps maybe, he can kind of take to that next level. You guys think that he can do that? People could take that next step this year. Matt, I'll start with you.
I mean, to me, this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest question for where this Bulls team goes from here beyond this season. Today, October 23rd, is the deadline day for extensions of guys who were first-round draft picks coming into the final year of their rookie deals. We've seen a few other extension alerts from Shams and Woj over the last few days as we neared that extension deadline today. No such extension for Patrick, and I don't think anybody really expected to see one. Zach Lowe was talking with Bobby Marks on his most recent episode about guys looking for extensions, and Zach Lowe just kind of floated a little note out there that Patrick Williams is looking for big numbers on his next deal. In the range of above $20 million annually. And I think a lot of Bulls fans would scoff at that figure when they first hear it, because you ask yourself, well, what has Patrick Williams really done to prove that he deserves a contract that big? I did like some of what we saw from Patrick in these preseason games, obviously taking on a larger role when Billy decided to rest the big three in that second game against Denver. Even though he didn't shoot the ball well in their preseason finale, I liked his aggression in that game. I liked the way that he attacked. I liked the way that he did a bit more work on the boards. Obviously, it is still a giant question mark whether or not the Bulls see Patrick as a building block for the future, but he's still here, and he is this front office's first draft pick, 4th overall. I still believe in Patrick Williams. I have not sold my Patrick Williams stock. I do not know if this is the year we finally see him emerge into something bigger than he is. I also think that a lot of the discourse about Patrick has gotten so ballooned out of control and misguided, in that fans wanting to see some sort of all-star or superstar level talent because he was a high lottery pick. If he turns into a quasi Luol Deng-esque player for this Bulls team for years to come, that is a great value of a 4th overall pick. It's just whether or not we see incremental steps of development. We've already seen him become a very solid defensive player. It's waiting to see him open up other elements of his offense. And Billy talking at one of their practices last week about his decision-making and needing to not overthink things and just be quick and react. If you're open, take the shot. If you can make a cut, make a cut. I mean, he's a 40% three-point shooter, and he plays great defense. He's already on his way to being a great 3-and-D wing. It's just how much better can he get, and what is that contract going to look like?
Terrence?
I think I'm one of the guys that Matt was saying is blowing the whole Pat Williams thing out of proportion. Because I'm on the side where at this point I really have to see some of the things from Pat Williams in order to believe. You know, I don't know what he needs to happen in order for him to take that next step. We've seen playing time open up for him because of injuries last season. We've seen and heard Billy Donovan over and over say what he wants to see from Pat Williams. And for some reason, it's like if you listen to a Billy Donovan press conference from a couple of days ago, it sounds exactly like the ones he was saying last year. So I would like Pat Williams to, you know, of course, do the same things that we've been saying for years. Consistently be aggressive offensively, his approach to the game, and just I feel like mindset and basically who he is. He's a mild-mannered guy, and I feel like asking him to be aggressive is like asking him to be a totally different person than he's ever been. So I understand that is probably easier said than done, but I hate to bring up the fourth pick, but he was a fourth pick. Certain expectations come with that. If you're willing to settle for him being a role player at what you invested in him as far as a draft pick, then fine. But right now, him being a quasi Luol Deng, I feel like is a huge reach. But he has another 82 to run it back. If he can stay healthy, I expect few improvements, but I haven't really seen any of the improvement that I really want to see from him.
Josh?
Patrick Williams' case is going to be very situational based. And what I mean by that is not, when I talk about situation, it's not just what Billy Donovan and how he places him in his role, but also what's the direction of the team moving forward. Because what we did see, even though it's not consistent, was when you put Patrick Williams in a lineup that does not involve the big three, and he has more room to just flourish, he eventually does some sort of flourishing, whatever that looks like, whether it's rebounding, whether it's defense, whether it is shooting the three-point shot effectively, or being aggressive enough to go after his shot. That's the problem with the team. You have a lot of guys that require the ball, and if you want Patrick Williams to flourish, especially offensively, he's going to need the space to do it. So because of that, the Bulls have to put him in the right situations for what that looks like. That's why I believe Torrey Craig is going to be key this offseason, or this whole entire season for him, because he knows what it's like to play as a fourth option offensively with the skills that he has with great players. He knows when to pick and choose his spots. And that's something that Patrick Williams has struggled with and has been very open about struggling with, figuring out how to be himself in an offense that's predicated around a big three, and he does not get the chances to exploit his offensive game. So the Bulls have to figure out which direction they're going to go, not just this season, but moving forward, knowing that he's in a contract year, to figure out how to put him in the best position to thrive. If you put him in a position to where you don't have a lot of top-tier talent like that, and you make him as one of those guys, I think you will see a different Patrick Williams. I think he would flourish. Maybe not into all-star type of caliber play, but at least better improvement. Let's put it that way. If not, you're going to see the similar Patrick Williams we've seen before. It's all about the situational base and putting him in the right position to succeed and thrive. So, like you all said, we have 82 games to figure out what that looks like. But at the end of the day, you're right. The Bulls picked him at the 4th overall pick, which comes with high expectations, whether you believe it or whether you feel that way or not, and it comes with a price tag. So with that price tag, he needs to be able to live to some sort of what that looks like. And I think he can, but the Bulls just can't mess it up, which unfortunately is the reality of what the history of this franchise is, messing up that type of talent.
Mm-hmm. Sid?
I think it all comes down to the confidence level for Patrick Williams. We were talking about this last year as Bulls fans and pundits, going back to him being a starter and him coming off the bench. I think with Patrick Williams last year, when he was thinking too much, he messed up. When he was just playing off of instinct, he was just playing basketball. I think he has to find that balance of just being confident, being comfortable within himself, and just play basketball. I think eventually he's going to end the season coming off the bench, as Josh said, when he's not surrounded by Zach and DeMar and some of the other high-priced guys on the team. He plays well, so I think that this is where it's going to end up at the end of the season, Patrick Williams coming off the bench. But as far as him staying here past this year, I don't know, because the Bulls are against the cap, and Patrick Williams is looking for that. He's not going to get it here, but I'm not out on him yet. But at the same time, I'm not trying to be that delusional fan. I don't think Patrick Williams is going to make an all-star team. If he does, great for him. But I don't think it's too far-fetched to expect him to at least average a double-double this year.
I feel like that would be a nice, something to aspire for Pat Williams. I actually thought that would have been dope if he could do that last season. That was something I was looking for as far as a benchmark for him. And I can't remember what he averaged. I don't know if you guys can remember off the top of his head, but like you said, Josh, I do think that he's one of the better three-point shooters on the team, shooting it close to that 40% clip. That's definitely a bright spot in his game. But like you said, Josh, with DeMar and Zach in front of him and Kobe there, an offensive-minded point guard, and the way that Patrick Williams kind of defers and kind of hides sometimes. I don't know if we're going to see Patrick Williams take the steps that I think fans want to see,
Mm-hmm. We'll definitely see what happens. And I think having Torrey Craig there, who's played at that position for years, and he kind of could be that mentor, and perhaps maybe we'll see him, play a little bit at a higher level, get that double that you're looking for, Terrence. So we'll see what happens there now. So you got any other Bulls questions before we go around the league?
Yes, I want to ask the panel, regardless of what happens this year, is Billy Donovan will he be the Bulls head coach going forward? I know the news didn't come out until after he had that beef with Zach LaVine last year about that contract extension, but it depends on how this season goes. If it ends the way it did last year, or they just miss it entirely, is Billy Donovan's future as a Bulls head coach on life support? Josh, I'll start with you.
No, the marriage is madly in love. There's no marriage. There's no divorce coming soon. I doubt it.
Okay.
Especially when you talk about, like you mentioned, the secret extension, but just the fact that the way they rave about Billy Donovan in the press conferences, the way they give him all the power to kind of get his input on how they should move from a team perspective. Let's be mindful of this. They work as a duo. So because Arturas Karnisovas is preaching continuity, Billy's going with the program. He's going with the program. So that means he believes in the same philosophy. So I don't see a divorce coming. I think, unlike a lot of soap operas, they're going to make this last. And I also just feel that, this season is not necessarily a make it or break it for him, although it can be from outside looking in. It should be. But I don't think the front office or the Bulls franchise will make it that way, considering Billy Donovan did something that Fred Hoiberg even hasn't. No one's done since Fred Hoiberg, and that's get them to the playoffs.
Matt?
I would be surprised if Billy is suddenly on some hot seat through this season as we move along. Even if the Bulls get out to a rough start, which is certainly possible. Schedule's tough, and they're a run-of-the-mill team. I agree with Josh's take that from all reports and everything we've heard, the Bulls ownership loves Billy Donovan. AK and Eversley love Billy Donovan. I think that relationship is just fine, if not peachy keen for now. I will also add, however, that there is a track record with this organization and this ownership group that when things are falling short of expectations or things are starting to go poorly, they tend to overvalue and keep some of their players that they're in love with, and they always give their front office very long leashes. I expect the same thing to be true for this ownership group when it comes to AK and Eversley and this group of players. What have we seen them do? Pay coaches who are still under contract for a year or multiple years to go away because they need a scapegoat when things go south. It's what they did to Tom Thibodeau. It's what they did to Fred Hoiberg. They promoted you-know-who. Because, like, oh, this will fix things. Sorry, Fred Hoiberg. This will fix things. And look, as much as they claim they love Billy Donovan right now, and I believe they do, just, like, read a history book. What's the one thing that this ownership group has no problem doing? Telling coaches to get out of town.
Terrence?
No, I agree with Matt. I feel like Billy Donovan would be the low-hanging fruit if all hell breaks loose, especially if it happens quickly for this Bulls team. He's got every reason in the world to make Billy Donovan the scapegoat. I mean, this is a team that's been middle of the road with a talented core on paper. You got a max player in Zach LaVine. And I can see this front office saying, well, Billy Donovan has really given it all he can. Let's see if we can bring a new philosophy in here, somebody with new ideas. And again, it would be totally Bulls. It would be so Bulls for them to just go ahead and dump all of this crap on Billy Donovan's head. I actually like Billy Donovan. You know what I mean? I feel like he's done a decent job with the players he's been given. I actually think he may have maxed out with the talent that he's been given. So I'm not one of the guys that's mad at Billy Donovan, but we're talking about a Jay Reinsdorf team, and if anybody's safe, it's the real front office, Arturis, and those guys who my kids may be saying need to be fired. And my kids ain't even born yet. You know what I mean? So that's that's the organization that we're talking about. And Billy Donovan I feel like when he got hired, he was one of those type of hires where you say, well, one day this guy's going to be fired by the Bulls. It's just a matter of how soon. And 4 years in, a play-in tournament, no playoff series wins. Yeah, you almost got to go ahead and get that guy out of here if you don't do it this year.
Yeah, I think for me, Peter off what Terrence said, I think it's all going to depend on what happened. If they make another playing appearance, I think he's on the hot seat. If they make the main playoff draw, I think his job is safe for now. But if they end up missing it and end up having like a slow start or maybe even a slow finish, I could kind of see them doing, Reinsdorf doing something because, it's Michael Reinsdorf. It's not his dad. So he's not afraid to pull the plug. So we'll see what happens.
You're listening to Second City. You're listening to Second City Sports on our NBA Bulls Power Hour previewing the 2023-2024 season with my co-host Lakeena McGee. We have Josh Hicks, Terrence Tomlin from It's the Bigs Media, along with our guy Matt Peck from CHGO Bulls Podcast. Guys, let's transition over to the rest of the NBA. We have new faces and new places as usual. Marcus Smart in Memphis. We have Damian Lillard, a.k.a. Dame Time in Milwaukee, teaming up with Giannis Antetokounmpo. James Harden, as of this live broadcast, is still in Philadelphia causing trouble. You can make that wherever that's worth. And you have Drew Holiday from that Damian Lillard trade joining the Boston Celtics. Terrence, I'll start with you. What do you expect from Damian Lillard as he teams up with the Greek Freak in Milwaukee? Do you expect them to win over 60 games, or do you see them starting off hot, or what do you see from this? What do you expect from this Milwaukee team this year?
So finally we get to talk some real basketball. I'm super excited for this Milwaukee Bucks season with Damian Lillard joining the Greek Freak and Chris Middleton over there, man. I think that this has the potential of being one of the best combinations of stars that we've seen maybe since Kobe and Shaq. You know what I mean? And especially when you think in terms of putting a team together via trade and free agency and things like that. You got LeBron and D Wade, and I think Giannis and Damian Lillard have the opportunity to be right in that conversation. Now, I'm expecting big things out the gate. You know what I mean? Damian Lillard is a guy that I feel has been kind of underrated over the years because he's played in Portland, and not a lot of people have stayed up to watch any of those games when they're not nationally televised. I think him playing off of Giannis, the looks that he's going to get there are going to be amazing. So I definitely think they got a chance to be very, very good out the gate. And I'm considering the fact that a lot of the times we see these super teams get together and they have an adjustment period where they may struggle a little bit. There may be some aspect of that, but I think that this is a situation where I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 60-win team, a team that can really run through this Eastern Conference until they get up to the Eastern Conference Finals, where hopefully they meet the Boston Celtics with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, Kristaps, Drew Holiday. I'm excited for that potential matchup between the two teams that I hope are 1 and 2 in the East.
Matt?
Yeah, I think this is all pointing towards a Boston-Milwaukee Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, if you ask me to pick today who the last 2 teams are standing in the East, it's those 2 teams. I am fascinated to see what a whole season of Dame and Giannis playing together look like. You got to give the Milwaukee front office credit. They addressed their biggest concern, which was Giannis and some of the things he had been saying recently about, if I look around and I'm not liking what I'm seeing, then I'm not signing a new contract. It's all about winning championships for me. As loyal as he's always been to the Bucks and the city of Milwaukee. And he said, go get me more help. And we all know from multiple examples throughout his playing career and being an NBA star, Giannis loves Dame. Like, he was asked in an interview, who do you want to play with? He said Dame Lillard. And the Bucks went and got Dame Lillard. I am maybe just a bit concerned about the hit their defense could potentially take with the loss of Holiday. I think people do not give Drew Holiday enough credit for everything he does. They do not win that championship a couple years back without swinging big and getting Drew Holiday into that core. But what you might see them do, overcoming maybe a bit of a hit as not being a elite level defense, what is their biggest flaw? What was their undoing when they just inexplicably lost in 5 games to a joke of a Heat team? Yes, I'm still bitter about it. In the first round, they don't have a half-court offensive option to go save the day and win them a game other than give Giannis the ball and watch him barrel through the paint and try and get to the hoop and maybe draw a foul, and then it's, can he hit his free throws or can he not? They gave Grayson Allen the ball in the final seconds as their season was dying. Now you have Dame time. As a Bulls fan, that is terrifying. Terrifying. They addressed their biggest issue and they fixed it with Damian freaking Lillard. Simultaneously, I am a bit more skeptical about Boston's moves. I've never been a big Kristaps guy, and I simultaneously am fully convinced that Marcus Smart meant everything to that being a winning organization. Obviously, maybe you get a little bit of that back with their late offseason move of, getting the Drew Holiday carousel to stop on them. But I don't know. I'm not that convinced about the Kristaps move. It's a big swing. We'll see if it pays off for him. But I still think, even if there are some hiccups along the way, Tatum and Brown and that crew in Boston, it should be good enough to get them one of those 2 top seeds, because, Sidney, you mentioned something about James Harden being in Philly at the beginning of this topic. Do we know he's in Philly? Does anyone know where James Harden is right now?
Where is he?
Technically, he's on the roster.
He could be down in Atlanta at a strip club. We don't know.
That's probably the best guess.
Those are my thoughts on Milwaukee and Boston. I do still think they'll be the 2 top seeds at the end of the season.
Josh?
Freak time. It's freak time. I'm definitely on board with this whole Damian Lillard, Giannis movement. They're definitely going to be. It's definitely championship or bust now. You got something that's rare and valuable, and not to mention, you got it for the long term. Dame is there for another 4 years. So because he's there for 4 years, if you get Giannis to sign that extension, that means you have another 4 years of really getting this done while you have 2 superstars on your team. And in more recent years, obviously, going back to 2011, 2012, you had the Heatles and the beginning of the Big 3 movement. The last few championships have been won with just really 2 superstars and the rest are high-quality, talented role players. The Bucks are reverting to what that looks like at a higher rate now that you got Damian Lillard there. So because of that, anytime you got Dame Dollar and Greek Freak on your team, you're poisoning yourself for a top tier chance at winning a championship, let alone winning the Eastern Conference. So I agree with everybody as far as the Bucks and the Celtics. They're the top two that you gotta have in the Eastern Conference Finals. They have to fight for that championship in the Eastern Conference. And anytime you got Dame Dollar in there, it's going to be a problem. But at the end of the day, it's championship or bust now, because you won a championship with Giannis. You know what it takes to get there. And bringing Damian Lillard there, who hasn't won one yet and deserves one, you're with the right person to get it done. But you got to get it done now, especially since you have a rookie head coach in Adrian Griffin, who you're trying to work things out with, and he's already having bad blood with assistants because Terry Stotts has decided to quit and get out of town.
Yep.
You gotta, make sure all these other things line up with it. But to have Dame Dollar in there, it's a good start.
So you got anything to say about?
Yeah, just Philadelphia is the token, no disrespect, the token number 3 team in the Eastern Conference. I agree with you guys. Milwaukee's 1, Boston's 2. As the number 4, if everything goes right, using air quotes here for those listening back on the replay on our podcast at War Media Podcast, Miami should be 4 or 5. We'll see how quickly they'll get over their front office failing to get Damian Lillard. But after that, as everybody else is up, can go home and play.
Yeah, I gotta agree here, and I think the Milwaukee, like I said, I think that defense, like you said, Matt, that might be an issue if anything else, and also too, you got a rookie head coach, so might be a little something to watch out for. It may not be an issue, by the time we reconvene before the playoffs, but it's gonna be interesting though in that front. But now let's go to the Western Conference. See, Terrence, I'm gonna make it even better for you. We're gonna talk some Western Conference hoops for a second. Of course, the Nuggets are the defending NBA champions, and look, but basically, for the most part, they've stayed the same. Of course, you got the Lakers. We'll see where LeBron and AD are, and Golden State, they got CP3, Phoenix, they got KD and Book, among others. So, Josh, I'll start with you. Is it Denver are you going to take Denver, or are you going to take the field in the Western Conference?
I'm going to take the field. It's hard to repeat in general. And on top of it, the West is a beast, man. I'm not like I know I talked about how the Big Three era has kind of shifted. And as far as winning championship is going back to have your 2 stars, and then you have the rest as good role players to help bring you to championships. But when I see the preseason of what this Phoenix team is looking like, it's nasty. It's nasty over there, and it seems like they're figuring out a little bit when it comes to allowing Bradley Beal or Devin Booker to be really that point guard. I think they still need to get an actual point guard to help with all that. But, to be able to have unlimited assassins like that in a free-flowing offense, and you still got defensive presence, which is what Frank Vogel preaches on and has won the championships off of. I don't know, man. Phoenix is a tough out. I personally can't fault or dismiss the Clippers if they can actually stay healthy, and Kawhi can stay healthy and bring it all together, because Kawhi Leonard alone pretty much defeated the Clippers before he got hurt before the last offseason. It's tough to look at. I'm not gonna lie, the Bulls played the Timberwolves recently. Ant Edwards is the real deal. I am not gonna let that go past him, considering what he did this past offseason at the World Cup and how he elevated his status. So there's a lot of top tier talent that can really give Denver a run for their money. Denver obviously is still deep, and now they have championship experience underneath their belt. They have even more to prove as far as trying to repeat. I think Jamal Murray is going to have a personal vendetta on the league this year, so he can make that first team All NBA. But the field is nasty in the Western Conference, man, and depending on who Denver actually matches up with in the Eastern Conference, let it alone be a Boston or a Milwaukee, that could be a matchup that may not be working in their favor either. So I'm going to go with the field on this.
Matt?
Give me the Nuggets over the field. That's certainly a bold stance, but you're talking about a team that went 16-4 on their playoff run to a championship. That's bringing back basically the entirety of its core. Losing Bruce Brown is gonna hurt a little bit. You knew he was gonna go and get his payday after being a big part of that team, but I think they have other quality role players and quality depth that's good enough to step in. We saw Christian Brown and what he could do in big playoff moments for them as a young player last season. Some of the other young guys that they've added already look good. Like when the Bulls were playing the Nuggets in the preseason, I was like, yo, who is this Strother guy and why is he amazing? Like, what the hell, Nuggets? But we were just talking about, Giannis and Dame. To me, I still have Joker and Jamal Murray as the best duo in the NBA. You know why? Because they just won a championship. They proved it. They also still have Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr., two incredible complementary pieces to round out an absolutely lethal starting five unit. I think the Nuggets are the best team in the NBA. They proved it. And they still have two of the best players, the best duo. I don't buy Phoenix. I'm sorry. They might, shut me up and prove to be like some record-breaking NBA offense this season. I wouldn't be shocked if that happens. What has Bradley Beal done in the playoffs? Devin Booker's had some incredible playoff performances. Has he gotten to the mountaintop? No. Only time Kevin Durant did is when he was playing with the, Steph Curry Warriors. I'm sorry, I'm skeptical. People are like, oh, can't count out the Clippers. They're a dark horse, always a dark horse. They got Kawhi and Paul George. Do they? Will they in April? I'm not convinced. I've never seen it. The Clippers had all of these years to be like, we got Kawhi and PG-13. Cool. What do you have to show for it? Oh, yeah, nothing. I'm sorry. I still think it's the Nuggets. But dare I not even mention LeBron in year 21 and the Lakers, who just got way more talk than the Nuggets all of last season. What, people are really going to pick the Nuggets to beat the Lakers if they meet up in the play? Yeah, because the Nuggets were better, and they still are.
Terrence.
I totally agree with Matt, man. My days of sleeping on the Nuggets have been done for a while. And that run last year was absolutely amazing, and we saw Joker play at a level that we haven't seen a center play at in a very long time. You know what I mean? I think the Nuggets, are at a level that every other team in the West is trying to get to, So definitely right now as the, season starts, I'm looking at the Nuggets as the team to beat in the West. All roads go through them. And I think they have a very good chance of repeating as the Western Conference representative in the finals this year, even with Phoenix doing what they did, the Lakers making a couple of improvements. You still got teams like Dallas, and of course you got Sacramento, who put the Western Conference on notice that they're a team to be reckoned with moving forward. I'm not sure if this year is their year. And still, like you said, Matt, the Clippers and them dangling Kawhi and PG in front of us for another season is something I'm sure is going to happen. If Kawhi is healthy and if Paul George is healthy, that's another duo to be reckoned with, But I still think all roads go through Denver. I'm looking for the Nuggets to hold it down this year.
See, for me, God, I mean, I'll say, okay, as of right now, as we're recording this, I will say Denver, but if Phoenix has a nice little showing, remember Frank Vogel's over there now, so we'll see they can kind of all mesh well. Look, Beal's never really, I think Beal's made the playoffs like once, if that, so I think that's probably why we have this, because we never saw him play the playoffs. The Lakers, we'll see with LeBron and AD. The I've given up on the Clippers now. Y'all know how I feel about the Clippers, so I'm basically giving up on them. you got Minnesota, who's up and coming. We'll see where Memphis is. Once with Ja being gone for now. So yeah, it's really I'll say it's Denver until someone beats them. But I'm gonna keep my I would say keep your eye on Phoenix. We'll see how they look this year.
Much respect to Denver, but I am taking the field. Denver really didn't go through any major injuries last year. And plus, now since you're the world champion, everybody's coming at your neck, as the kids would say. So I'm taking the field. But as Terrence brought up one of the teams I was going to bring up a minute ago, the Sacramento Kings, they came out of nowhere last year. Let's see if that's for real or fugazi this year. And one team that we haven't talked about, which I'm going to bring up now, I'm not saying they're coming out the West, but they got a couple of players that need to prove something, whether people want to hear it or not, and that's the Golden State Warriors. One of the reasons why they lost to the Lakers in the playoffs last year, Klay Thompson didn't have a good shooting series, and Draymond Green, because of his age, got exposed in that series last year. So those two players have something to prove. If Golden State, with the addition of Chris Paul, should they stay healthy, I think they can surprisingly make some noise in the playoffs.
Yeah, and definitely want to mention I got Vic over there in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. I know that Twitter has been a nice dose of him all over Twitter this preseason, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what his starting point is as far as his rookie season, and if he can kind of position the Spurs to kind of have some meaningful wins over the course of this season. I'm not expecting him to be a playoff team or things like that yet, but I wonder how close they can get to scratching that surface in his first season. I'm looking forward to that.
Should be interesting. Sid?
I want to ask the guys their MVP and who's their NBA Finals matchup and champion. I'll start out with you, Matt.
Okay. MVP? You know what? Give me Joker again. People were like Joker Embiid the last several years. It's probably going to come down to that again this year. And I mean, my God, the mind boggles to think about Embiid's usage percentage this season if Harden is, in fact, off at some strip club somewhere and not in a Sixers jersey every night. So maybe it's Embiid again, but when it comes to how effective guys are at making their teams good with their individual talents, I'm a numbers guy when it comes to the MVP conversation, and Jokers are off the charts. So give me another Joker MVP. As far as finals matchup, I said I got Denver. I'll take him again against the rest of these teams in the West. I agree. I'm excited to see if the Kings can show that last season wasn't a fluke. Very curious to see what happens with the Grizzlies, especially hopefully if Ja comes back and gets things under control and continues to shine like the star that he is. But I'm still taking Denver. The East is harder because we've seen Boston and Milwaukee choke in big playoff series with these cores of players that they have. I think it's a toss-up. I guess I'll take Milwaukee right now because Dame time. I'm sorry, Terrence. Freak time.
Well, look.
Hey, I'm bringing that up in our next meeting, Josh. Freaky time.
Freak time.
Free time. Well, look. When we talk back, when we reconvene in February, I'll let, if you guys want to change your picks, we'll let you do that. We'll give you that little incentive. So just get a little note there. But Josh.
Oh man, this is tough for me. MVP, you gotta go with Joker at this point. Just because of what he does so effortlessly every night. It's incredible. It's incredible. So I think obviously, Joker could be MVP. I did say the field that I was gonna take, not Denver, but now y'all making me want to reconsider. So with the tentative rule that's been in place that we could change midway through around All-Star break. Right now, I'm going to go with Phoenix. I do like what they got over there, and they do have a little bit of defense still to carry themselves through. Who knows? Maybe Grayson Allen can actually behave over there since he got KD and those guys. So I'm going to go with Phoenix, and they're going to go against the Bucks. Dame Dollar is with them being over there, I think that's the best way to go for me right now.
All right, Terrence.
It's interesting for me for MVP because I got kind of a two-guy race in my head. I'm interested to see what Luka comes with this season, and if he can put together a full season and carry Dallas to maybe overachieving some of the expectations that we've talked about. I think Luka, in an NBA world where I feel like it's a bunch of guys that have MVP level talent now. You know what I mean? I think Luka has an opportunity to shine this year over there in Dallas. But then my other guy is Steph Curry. Like you said, Sid, I think that Steph is one of those competitors where the moment you sleep on him, that's when he mess around and put up one of his most impressive performances. I don't ever want to sleep on Stephen Curry. I think he has an opportunity to be the MVP this year, but I'll go with Luka to start. Finals appearance, you guys already know I'm going with Milwaukee out of the Eastern Conference. If they can stay healthy, I think they're matching up against the Denver Nuggets, the Joker and his crew, for another very exciting, very competitive NBA Finals this year.
Oh boy, this is a tough one for me. I have like 3 or 4 names in my head, but if since like I said, we can change this when we reconvene in February. I'll say Dame only because he hasn't come close, and I think having Giannis will make him a little bit even better than he is. People are gonna see Dame and how great he is. So, and I think that that'll help him get his first MVP. And I'm with you, Josh. Phoenix and Milwaukee in the finals. And I'm picking Phoenix to win.
Nice.
Yeah, Lakeena must have stole some space in my head because I'm going with Dame time, Damian Lillard for MVP.
Yeah, my head said.
No, you're in my head. But anywho, I'm going with Damian Lillard as my MVP. He's going to be so motivated this year, and he stays healthy. Him and Giannis is going to be the best duo in the NBA. That 2-man game, that pick-and-roll game between those two is going to be sick. And my finals matchup will be the rematch from the 2021 NBA Finals with Milwaukee beating Phoenix once again for the NBA title.
Should be a good one now. Matt, I know you got a jet, so where can people find you on CHGO and social media and all the other great stuff?
Bulls_Peck on Twitter. That's right. I still call it Twitter. We are CHGO_Bulls. We do 5 shows a week. Excited to be getting back into in-season form. We'll be doing pregame and postgame shows. Bookending every Bulls game this regular season with my guys, Big Dave, Will Gottlieb, Mark K, our awesome crew. You can find us on our CHGO Sports YouTube channel.
Yeah, before you go, Matt, I just want to say this publicly. Thank you. And you and Dave had Josh in the studio back a couple of months ago, back in August. You gave myself and Lakeena a shout out both at the beginning and at the end of the show. I just wanted to say thank you for that. Thanks for showing us the love as we continue to do our thing here. So you and Dave, good luck to you guys this year. We'll definitely have you guys back as the season goes along here on Second City Sports. But thank you guys for that shout out when Josh was in studio.
Thanks.
Of course, man. We got nothing but love for you guys. Always appreciate the invite. Always enjoy chatting with y'all, Sidney and Lakeena. Josh and Terrence, pleasure as always to you guys as well. Let's watch some basketball, right?
Yeah.
Ready.
Oh, yeah.
Ready.
No doubt. Let's do it.
All right. See you, Matt. Tell Dave we said what's up. All right. Real quick though, before we disperse here, gentlemen, the NBA TV contracts are a big topic. It's been that way the last few months. I know, Josh, we the 3 of us, us and you, Sid, and you and me talked about this in a couple appearances back. So Amazon maybe making a little bit of a go at it. There may be some rumors that they may do like a Thursday Night Football style thing with Amazon and a few other things as well. They haven't rolled out streaming, Adam Silver has said. So, John, I'll start with you. What do you think about this new like NBA TV deal potentially? Of course, NBC might be in it as well. So, what do you think?
I wish I could have a little bit of that chump change. Jeez, you talking about 50 bill? I mean, come on, fam. That's a lot of bread. But this is going to change the landscape. It's going to change the landscape of sports broadcasting in general. When you talk about the games that potentially may be hosting on different platforms, we're already seeing some of those movements, even with TNT, their deal with Max, being able to stream their shows with NBA on TNT over there, and the TNT games that they host as another option. It's good to be able to have another platform for you to stream your content in case people are not having the average cable channels every day, because cable TV is, quite frankly, becoming non-extinct day by day. Everything is streamed. So it just shows where the direction of the league is really going to go and the future of it can be. But it's a lot of money in the game, man. And it's clear, and Amazon is showing that they're willing to make a big bid to get part of that package. So it's something interesting to see, and I just hope that if Jeff Bezos is hearing this, throw some money my way, throw a small package my way, I'll be good. I'll be good.
Terrence, I'm dying to see what your thoughts on all this.
Well, it's a sign of the times. I like you said, Josh. I know it's a lot of money in these streaming services when it comes to them creating feature spots for these leagues to really own a day when it comes to watching. You look at how fast the NFL and Amazon's relationship has grown from the Thursday games. We've heard them talking about Black Friday games, just more of those games where they can hit you onto a day and just own it from here on out. I think that we're going to be seeing leagues like the NBA want something like that ever since I can remember. And I tell my girlfriend all the time, I've been watching the NBA on TNT ever since I was a kid when the commercial was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You know what I mean? With Vince Carter and they were playing the blues all through, all through the town and things like that. Those days are gone, man. You know what I mean? I'm actually interested in the local side of the conversation because I feel like that's where you may be seeing some spin in the block, because I think some of these local channels like WGN, ABC, NBC may have an opportunity to get back in the game when it comes to local broadcasting and the blackout rules that some of these streaming services will have moving forward. I miss being able just to turn to channel 9 or 26 and be able to watch the Bulls or a White Sox or Cubs game. So I'm keeping my eye on if those days got an opportunity to come back, Lakeena.
Yeah, just to piggyback off that for Terrence's point, Lakeena, we talked about this before. NBC Sports Chicago, this time next year, their contracts will expire with the Bulls, Blackhawks, and White Sox. And so we'll see. And of course, now Jerry Reinsdorf owns Stadium. We'll see how those negotiations go. If he turns that stadium into a Bulls and White Sox channel, but we'll see what happens with that down the road. Also, too, I want to point out this. With Terrence talking about with some of the local teams, remember the Phoenix Suns and the Utah Jazz, they have options for streaming their games this year, and both those teams will have their games available in their markets on quote unquote free TV. And 15 of the 30 teams have their games on the Bally Sports networks, and don't forget Bally Sports with Diamond Sports, they're in bankruptcy court. And should those teams that are on NBA teams that are on Bally Sports don't have their situation straightened out, the NBA could take over and produce their game. So be on the lookout for that.
Could be something to look out for down the line. And I think with the whole, we'll see if especially with the Bulls, we'll see if they decide to go like the route that they've gone with, having it maybe on GN or WCIU or local channels like that, or do they kind of stick with status quo and perhaps maybe take a portion of it, perhaps maybe stream it or do a direct to air thing. So it's gonna be very interesting to see where the Bulls go with this. But I mean, Amazon 50 billion. I mean, like, give me some of that bread. I'll buy Amazon stock with that. I'm like, Josh, like give me some, hook me up with some Amazon stock too. So definitely something to look forward to down the line. So is there anything else before we disperse?
I want to get the guys yours too, Lakeena, and your opinion about the load management rule this year.
Oh, yes,
I think it's 65 or 68 games the players have to play
Something
to
like
qualify
that,
for some of these postseason awards. Me and Lakeena said that Victor Wembanyama, if he's going to win Rookie of the Year, Greg Popovich, the head coach, has to be careful here because he's been snubbing at that load management rule for years. And so I want to start with you, Terrence. So do you think that things will go quote unquote smoothly with this load management rule, or will we see some troubled waters here, at least early to start the year with that?
I think we will see some trouble with it, man. I don't think that the players like that they're trying, that the league is trying to mandate their participation in games that honestly they may not feel physically up for. I think that the debate on who knows their bodies best is definitely going to be put on the forefront, and players, I feel rightfully so, are always going to think that they know their bodies best. And even with them considering that fans come and pay their hard-earned money, I completely get that. But if a player isn't able to perform, I don't think they should be made, or there should be some benchmark that needs to be reached in order for them to be considered eligible for postseason or regular season awards. So I'm interested to see how long this lasts. I got a feeling that this may be a short-lived policy in the NBA.
Josh?
I feel like it's like when you're a little kid and your parents tell you not to do something, but you find a sneaky way to do it anyways. Like that's what you're gonna get into. I think you're gonna get a lot of that with this policy. And it's not gonna be necessarily from the players, but coaches are gonna be involved with this too. They may be like Popovich, where it's like, okay, you want to play. How many minutes do you have to play in order to be considered that you played in today's game? Oh, 10 minutes, 20 minutes? All right, come on. Let's get this 20 minutes out of the way and you're done, right? Like there's ways to go around things. And I think the more harsher you're going to go on with these policies, the more players and coaching staffs are going to want to maneuver their way around it. And you're increasing those chances by doing stuff like this. So I feel like, they're going to find a way to kind of cheat the system or beat the system per se, to better themselves and still reach the requirements necessary to win these awards and get what they want out of this. So I think you're going to eventually see a lot of that.
You might see a lot of those guys. Like 15 minutes. Okay, you want to play a quarter? Okay, let's bring you out 6 minutes here, 6 minutes here. Okay, let's do it. So I'm with you, Josh. I can kind of see some teams, especially against later into the season, perhaps maybe, especially if playoff positions are on the line. I can see some teams doing that.
Yeah, that old Michael Jordan rule from his broken foot back in '86. He played 7 minutes a half.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Oh, yes. Okay, and of course, guys, thank you so much for joining us. As always, Josh, Terrence, Josh, where people can find you and all your great content on social media, on the Bigs and more media.
Josh M. Hicks Media. You can find everything over there. Obviously, the Bigs got a lot of things coming your way, so just be on the lookout.
And speaking of, Terrence.
No, like Josh said, man, go ahead and check out our content at It's The Bigs on Twitter, Instagram. We've been going hard on YouTube, The Bigs Media. You can find all our latest videos from the Bears beat and everything we'll be doing on the Bulls beat this season there. My guys, Josh, and our other guy, Drew, will be joining us on the Bulls beat and leading it this year. And me and Gene will basically be holding it down for them as their proxies. But man, I'm looking forward to you guys getting that work from the Bigs, man. As usual, thank you guys so much for the love and support that you've been giving us for so many years at this point. It means the world to us.
No, right back at you. And look, you and Eugene have done a great job building the Bigs up. Is only getting bigger. And you brought in our buddy Josh, our little brother from another. You guys are all doing great things. So so of course, anytime, Terrence, don't be a stranger. It's been forever. Let's not wait forever for you to come back on. Josh, of course, you can come back. Guys, we'll probably have you guys back on in February for the mid-season. We'll see how wrong our predictions are. So, thank you guys for joining us. You guys stay safe, stay warm, and we'll talk to you guys later.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, most
Thank
definitely.
you.
All
right. All right. With that said, that was, of course, Terrence Tom from the Bigs, and of course, our buddy Josh, other buddy Josh, his from the Bigs, and also War Media. Also, too, we also want to thank our buddy Matt Peck from CHGO. Like he said, he also has some big stuff coming up as well for CHGO Bulls. So, I'm ready for basketball to start, Sid.
Yes, I am, especially the way that this Bears season has gone so far. And the Blackhawks, like I said, we'll talk about them on this show. Shout out to Connor Bedard. He scored his first goal the other night. Of many at the United Center. But it depends on how this Bulls season goes. I'm excited for the rest of the NBA looking in because, as you know as well as I do, they wanted parity for a long time. Well, you have it right now, so let's get it going.
Absolutely. And with that said, you follow Lakeena McGee on the Twitter, X, Lakeena and the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sidney Brown, on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80. Make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms. On Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And make sure you follow War Media at WARR Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends. And real quick, the doubleheader for tomorrow. Lakers and the defending champ Nuggets. That should be a good one. That's 6:30 on TNT. Early start for the folks out there out west. And Phoenix and Golden State at 9 o'clock for that TNT doubleheader coming up tomorrow night, Tuesday.
Yes, and I believe it's Phoenix and Golden State on Thursday at 9 o'clock on TNT, followed by Milwaukee and Philadelphia. Will James Harden play or not? We should find out. That's a doubleheader on Thursday on TNT. Your Chicago Bulls will have their home opener this Wednesday at 7 o'clock. You can see that game locally on NBC Sports Chicago. Everywhere else, NBA League Pass, as they'll host the Oklahoma City Thunder.
And Boston, New York for Wednesday, the ESPN doubleheader. At 6 o'clock, also too. Then at 8:30, you got Dallas and San Antonio. It'll be Luka versus Victor Wembanyama. That should be a fun one as well, sis. So, like I said, we'll talk more NBA, coming up on Friday. So we got, we're getting to the time of year where there's a lot going on. You got college football finishing up. You got NFL, about going into the midway point. LCS, we'll see. By the time we get back, we'll have our World Series matchups. We'll be to see who that team is. And of course, the NBA, they're getting started. So I like, and also too, you got a couple weeks. You got college hoops. You got Illinois. They're playing a exhibition game and such. So a lot of sports on the horizon coming up.
Yes, and don't forget you can catch Second City Sports live and in living color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Sports Zone Chicago. One more again, as the kids would say. You can catch Second City Sports live in living color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, exclusively right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
And of course, you can catch Sports Zone Chicago anytime, anywhere on Roku television. Just type in on your app. It's all right there. Our show, Sean and Maya, the Smoke Vells. We'll see what's up, cuz I know Jason's probably not gonna be in a good mood tonight with the Dolphins losing after the Eagles yesterday. But check out at 6 o'clock. And of course, you can catch Sports Zone Chicago on Roku TV anytime, anywhere.
All right, Lakeena, take us home.
Okay, for Sid, I'm Lakeena. Enjoy all the sports this week, everybody. This has been Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll see you Friday.
I love this game. Holla!
Ha